Hello and welcome to this week's Murphy's Market Minute with Elliot Omenson
and Nathaniel Vossman.
It has been a wacky, wild roller coaster of a week.
Definitely.
And we got a lot to unpack.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get after it.
So what are we starting with?
Well, I think we should just start with today and work our way backwards, right?
Yeah.
Don't you think that'd be good? And let's kind of put some things in perspective, right? So V-Man, Vossman, Nathaniel, I don't know what you want me to call you on these things.
Anything.
All right.
I feel like
The
it's
big sexy.
I was just about to say, I think it's going to get flirtatious. But go ahead.
Yeah, what did the market do today?
It's back down.
Start at the beginning. What did it do this morning?
It opened low and it continued to track down a little bit, and now it's tracking right back up. But it's still pretty deep in the red.
Didn't it go green at one point today?
Not the S&P.
Was that yesterday?
I mean, yesterday it
went hard in the paint.
It went. That's about as green as it gets in one day.
Yeah, right. Was it the largest one day ever?
I'd have to look, but it was definitely the largest one day I can ever remember.
Yeah.
Because I think the S&P closed almost like up 10%, which is crazy.
Yeah. And then today, what are we down?
I'm seeing S&P down 3.81.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, we started shedding. Wow, we had a few bad days, right?
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that we talk to people a lot. So, with very few clients, we actually move 50% or more into cash, and this yesterday was exactly why we don't do that, right? Because there's these days where there's this huge spike up, and you never really know when they're coming, right? And in this current situation, it's probably even more difficult than normal because we're watching someone try to reset the entire global trade structure, and it's kind of like a one-man show in that regard, and then you're watching these countries, some of them trying to buck up and act like they're going to hold out. I think Canada took us to the World Trade Organization with complaints. China, I think, raised their tariffs, but a number of other countries have come to the table, stating they're open when negotiating. That's one of my favorite things. I actually made a video about this morning. I just love the I love the propaganda machine at work, right? So 70 to 75 countries, according to the White House.
Yeah, I think it's somewhere in the 70s.
Yep, have stated they're willing to come to the table. Then they stated separately that there's 15 of them have specific plans. And I literally listened to the propaganda machine claim that that's proof that the White House is lying. They said 75, and then they said 15. It's like, really? These are two very different things. Like 75 said that they're willing to come to the table. 15 presented specific plans. Those aren't separate from one another here, okay? Like, this is the way it works. Like, you acknowledge that there's a problem, that you want to fix it, and then you work out the details. It's not a lie. It's not falsehood. It's not propaganda. It's literally the way it works. Like, first you acknowledge that there's a situation, and then you hammer out how to fix it, right? Like, so the 75 coming to the table. Trump announced yesterday that he was going to put a pause on the bulk of the reciprocal tariffs. He was still going to keep in place a 10% tariff.
Yep.
All right. And that he was jacking China's tariffs to the moon. Now, there's something else going on here, too, that, or at least I think there is, right? This is speculation here. There's a concept called the Overton window, where I always use the example of like your kid they have a 10 p.m. curfew, and they come to you and they tell you that they're going to go out and spend the night with their friends and not coming home till the morning. So a huge fight breaks out. You guys yell and scream at each other. And when it's all said and done, you compromise on letting your kid stay out till midnight. Your kid walks out the door, high fives their friends, and they're all happy because they never intended on spending the night anywhere. Their entire purpose of that was to get you to let them stay till midnight. But they knew if they came to you and said midnight, you were going to negotiate just for the sake, because that's the way human minds work. You might let them stay till 10:30 or 11, but they really wanted to be out till midnight. And since, in this world, they understand this tactic, they present you with this extreme option that's never going to happen, so that when you do agree to settle on something, you think you've won. You capitulated and let them stay out till midnight. So I do think that, like, whether or not it was intended or not, having all these tariffs slap on there and then capitulating down to the 10% tariff across the board, you just literally watch the Overton window effect and it happen in real time.
Yeah. And I don't even know if it's so much about having the other side feel like they're getting like a better deal. I think it's just like if Trump doesn't get to the point where those tariffs are implemented in the first place, which, you know, what the April 2nd was, and they're going into place, I think, Wednesday.
Yeah.
Like, if you don't actually do that, like, how do you start negotiating if you're just threatening,
Yeah,
and you're just
you
all
can't.
talk?
You got to
all
prove,
bark, no
yeah,
bite.
yeah.
And so, like, you just, you know,
You've got to prove you're willing to use the big stick.
Like, you put it in place to show people that he's serious, and then they come to
Yes.
the table to negotiate, and he, you know, eases on that, and then, but you see him do the exact opposite on China because they're not willing to negotiate.
Well, and now don't you think they're not wanting to negotiate because we're completely powerless and helpless, and no matter what, we will always lose in anything that we ever do to try and balance things with China?
Yeah, they want to keep taking advantage.
Isn't that the other narrative? No matter what we do, China has the upper hand, and we're bound to lose every time, every single time.
Yeah.
The narrative is China has the upper hand, we're powerless. Everything we ever do is just going to hurt us. Do you agree with that?
No. And I think, like we were talking about yesterday, right now we have a $300 billion deficit, $295 billion deficit last year on goods from China.
Yep.
And I think we only shipped over like 100 billion roughly. And so something like this is it's gonna hurt China a lot more than it'll hurt us.
Yeah.
Big time. And also, like we were saying, it's like right now we have like a strong hand right now to be negotiating.
But isn't the argument that you know, like all the countries in Africa, Central and South America, India, the Indo-Asian Pacific Islands, aren't they just going to pick up all that slack and start buying $300 billion worth of stuff from China? What, isn't China like exerting their influence around the world and forming alliances? And isn't everybody moving over to the BRIC nations' currencies?
That's what we heard.
You really think they have the capacity to start buying $300 billion worth of stuff?
A lot of them no.
If they did, why wouldn't they be doing it?
And I remember talking about the GDP at Africa, so I don't think they're going to be doing a lot.
No, they're not. No, they're not. None of these places are, right? So clearly, we have the upper hand. We've always had the upper hand. I don't know why one side insists that we don't, right? We're the biggest buyer on the planet. And you're getting to watch 50 years or more of policies that eviscerated the middle class get fixed. It's a pretty beautiful thing. Now, the stock market is all over the place, right? So a 90-day pause was put in place. So let's go back. Let's get off that for a second. Let's focus on what we did, right? We reached out to all of you guys, and we talked to you about creating a bucket of cash so that when this settles, we're able to buy in and have that help with the overall performance of the portfolio. Now, because there's so much uncertainty around this, right? It's not like, this isn't like where we did this in 2020, where there was this pandemic and it was causing this global shutdown, and there was going to be like more of a stable, clear path of time over time that was going to take place, right? This is a little more volatile than that. So for most people, we recommended to be honest, for like half the clients, it was, you guys don't really need to do anything. You know, depending if you're spending off your money, depending on how much of your money's in the market, depending on what age you are, things like that. The next largest segment was literally just a 25% move to cash. Right? Nothing serious. You still have, so a lot of people still gained yesterday, right? Very few. I mean, I think 2 or 3 clients went 100% to cash, and probably like 5 went 50%, right? So your portfolio is still getting the ups and the downs that the market is doing. So it wasn't like we completely missed yesterday. It's not like we're completely missing today or 2 days ago. But we have this bucket in cash so that when all this settles, we can use that to buy into the equities at whatever the point is at that point in time and have it help with the overall return of your portfolio. So some people have texted me like, oh, we buying back in today. No, this is not. We're not day trading.
Yeah, because the whole idea of moving money into cash, or in this case, a bond fund, is to take a more...
No, we haven't done the bonds yet because all the bonds started to plummet as well. You might have heard that story.
And to be honest, they're pretty similar. Like, it's pretty safe asset. So it's like, I almost group them together, but cash, like getting out of the equity market.
Yes.
So that's more of a conservative thing to do, which I think for a lot of people, given their age and where they're at, that's a smart idea. You get out,
Yeah.
and but the idea of selling out of the stock market and hopping right back in is probably the most aggressive thing you could be doing, which is the opposite of what we're trying to accomplish. So I don't know. Elliot's the one who really will have the final decision on when we want to buy back in, but it won't be immediate because that's kind of the whole point. We're trying to get past some of this volatility.
Yeah, yeah. And so, like, if there's a 90-day pause, we're probably not buying back in
for at least 90 days. Yeah. Like a minimum.
Right?
And then even then, there's going to be an update after that.
Yeah. Now, for the clients that did 50 to 100%, like, if we want to buy back in with, if you did 100%, you want to buy back in with 25% of your portfolio here in a couple of weeks, I might be okay with that, right? Yeah. If you did 50%, you want to buy back in with 10, 20, 30%. Yeah, give it a couple weeks, right? Definitely not anytime in the next couple of days, most likely, unless just something really wild comes out in the news, right? And then we'll want to take very quick action. Like, let's say, some news announcement came that China, along with the other 75 countries, have all reduced all tariffs to zero. Yeah. Well, we're not. By the way, we're probably not calling you. We're probably just buying back in because there's not time to call.
I was gonna say if China caves in, then
it's go time. It's go time. And by the way, I truly do believe that once China does cave, you will see the market climb.
Yeah, it's gonna be a bull market then.
Like never before.
Yeah.
Now, another really interesting narrative that I find is really wild, right? For 3.5 years of the first Trump presidency, while the stock market was skyrocketing, all you heard was, this is not the economy. People are struggling in America. It's just rich people getting richer as the market goes up. So why is it today as the market plummets, the whole story is about how it's the economy's we're experiencing recession, the economy's in the toilet, all the poorest among us are being eviscerated. Wait a minute. I could have sworn it was the exact opposite when the market was going up. So the market and the economy are not necessarily like tied together. You could have the market go up while experiencing recession and vice versa. Like the market goes down all the time while the market's doing well, right? I mean, look at 2022. Economy's doing fine. The market experienced a pretty significant drop. Trough.
Yep.
Was the word I was looking for, right? Nobody was freaking out and panicking, right? Now, we just had a pretty phenomenal jobs report come out. Now, it happened before the tariffs, but it was much higher than any economist expected.
Significantly.
Yep. We just had the inflation report come out this morning.
I hadn't seen it yet.
Yeah, it came out this morning, lower than expected.
Wow.
Okay? There's no recession coming.
Yeah, those are all good indicators.
You're not hiring with low inflation and experiencing stagnation or a recession. The economy is rock solid. The stock market's getting knocked around. But so what? Like, yeah, it's tough to stomach, right? When it comes to your retirement and your portfolio. And that's why we're taking steps, like we're literally working our ass off over here. And a lot of our clients, we're getting phone calls. Aubrey really stepped up and called through the weekend for people. So hat tip to her. Now, while she was doing all that, Abby was literally handling everything else. All right. So, like, that's one thing I'm absolutely blessed to be able to have. I could not manage accounts and portfolios differently than every other financial advisor on the planet if I didn't have the team and the staff that's actually willing to do the hard work, right? If we were like everybody else and charged the lowest possible fee and had thousands of clients and didn't have the staff appropriate enough to be able to actually do this, we would just be telling you the same thing. Actually, most of my clients told me, I was literally on a call Monday with a mentor of mine, has not heard from his financial advisor. Numerous of our clients talked about how they were at dinner with friends. None of their friends had heard from their financial advisor.
Yeah, I was just at F45 today. I was talking to someone, and he was talking about, he was with a couple of friends last night, I think out for a walk, and he was talking about how like he wanted to move some of his money, but like he just like could never get in contact with his advisor, and so he just like stuck in. And like whether or not like him moving it or him not moving is the right or wrong answer.
Yeah,
the messed up part is that like he wanted to do something and wasn't even able to do it. Like what at that point, like what even is the point of having an advisor?
Yeah.
If you can't even do what you want to do.
Go throw your shit in the Vanguard VOO and call it a day.
Yeah, the whole point of having an advisor is someone who will like respond to you and do what you want to do first, like more than anything else.
Well, not always
and
do
then
what you want to, talk to you about it and create a sounding board.
Well, exactly.
For you, right?
Yeah.
Right? Because everybody needs a sounding board. Nobody needs to be stuck in their own echo chamber, their own thoughts and stuff, especially when it comes to your money, because money's so emotional.
Exactly.
Right? That's why people who manage their own money don't even beat inflation. Because the emotion of it makes us do dumb things.
Yeah.
Right? So even if all we are as a financial advisor is that sounding board and that check to your own emotional reactions, that can be worthwhile.
Yeah. 100%.
But if they're not talking to you, they're not a sounding board and they're not a check.
Yeah. It just does amaze me like how many, because you're talking about that and I've heard it myself and it's just like crazy to me. Cause I couldn't imagine paying someone to be an advisor and not being able to get in touch with them and then not hearing from them. Like just straight up, it's as if my money's just like in like
just straight
nowhere.
Goes to you.
And like
just straight goes to you.
Yeah, that's just like crazy to me. Because it's like advisors are getting paid for a reason. And that reason is to be there for the clients.
You would think so.
And it's just amazing how many advisors are not.
No. Yeah.
Because I think that's a majority.
I agree with you. I don't think they're priced correctly. I think they take on entirely too many clients because they're not priced correctly. You know, recently I had an interesting situation some of you are aware of, most of you are not. But the sales pitch was this other advisor only charged 1% to my 2. And I have that advisor's entire historical data from 2017 to 2024. Net of the 1% fee, he delivers a net return to his clients on average of 0.63%. 0.63. So are you paying half the fee? Yes, you are. But his half of the fee is over half of what he's earning you. And I'm like, this is the sales pitch? Yeah. Are you crazy?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Now, don't get me wrong. I try not to be in a performance-based relationship. I know it's part of my job, right? But it wouldn't really matter how much we delivered if you never heard from us.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe there's people out there that, I'm sure there's a few people out there that just wouldn't care. They just look at their portfolio and go, hey, I never hear from this guy. I have no idea what he's doing, but hey, rock on. Look at me. I'm earning money. But for most people, not only do we need to get performance and manage your account appropriately, but we also need to be in communication with you. And then again, you also have to look at what percentage of your overall portfolio is this even in the market, right? I had a client a few years back. They were very upset because their money had lost money in the market. And I failed to understand the level of their upsettedness. Not a word. I failed to see how upset they were.
Yeah.
Because in my mind, the money they were talking about was 21% of their portfolio. So whatever they lost in it couldn't have been more than 21% of their portfolio, right? So if they had lost half,
be like 10%.
It's 10.5% of their overall portfolio. Well, it was well noticed the market could do that in a day, right? In addition to that, it wasn't money they were living off of. This wasn't money. This was leave-on money. This was money that really wasn't on a time horizon that they were going to use. Most likely, this was money that was being passed on. And so, for those reasons, and the problem is, I did a poor job of communicating. Right, kind of like these advisors were talking about. Even if we're talking to you, if we're not communicating well, it's just as good as if we weren't talking to you. So in my head, I'm just looking at this. I thought they understood. Hey, this is a tiny portion of portfolio. You're not planning on ever touching it. So who cares if it drops by whatever it had dropped by, right? But I didn't explain all that. I wasn't cognizant of their anxiety around it, and I did a really poor job talking to them about it. So luckily, that's one of the purposes of these videos. We're trying to get a lot better at communicating in mass, and then obviously incorporating the individual conversations as well. One of the things that I dropped in COVID was annual reviews, and trying to get those restarted has been a bear. But I think a number of people have probably started to see that we've been reaching out. We've been calling. We're trying to get those annual reviews going again. So that's just another layer of communication. So anybody want to shake their crystal ball and make a prediction as to what's going to come in the next few days?
I don't think anybody knows. It's kind of tough. If you were to ask me this time, like 2 days ago, whatever, expected, the market to go up 10% yesterday and then back down today. And I would imagine if I just had to make a wild guess, I would imagine things are going to be pretty sideways for a while.
Yeah, I would think so too. Here's the one takeaway that I'd like to leave everybody with that I think is really awesome. I think yesterday shows you something very, very important. I think the market wants to go up. And when I say the market, it's the people behind it. That's the American people, right? They want to invest in equities. They want to invest in stock. There is nobody out there. If they thought there was a recession coming, nobody would have dumped all that money back into the market yesterday. All right? So I love it when you can tell from the movement of the market what the market wants to do. It wants to climb. It wants to drive forward. All right? And that's being offset at the moment by uncertainty around the tariffs and trade and all that. But half of the country is rock solidly behind what Trump is doing. And for the half of you that aren't, that's fine. I get it, right? For every action, there's an equal and opposite action, right? There's always two sides of something, and everybody's reasons are important and valid to them. But one thing the reason why I'm bringing this up is because there's a narrative trying to be pushed that the people who voted for Trump and are for these tariffs aren't really for him anymore. That once it started to hurt our pocketbooks, our investment portfolios, well, I can tell you as somebody that talked to a number of people over the last week, most of whom are conservative, I didn't have a single person tell me that they wanted Trump to stop doing this. And it's affecting everybody's retirement accounts and portfolios. Every one of them, everyone knew it would come back, that what Trump is doing is for the better of the country, and that the long-term impacts of it is going to be positive. I haven't heard a single person who's conservative or Republican say otherwise. So I just put that out there for the people that are on the left. That when I think the people on the right are, for better or worse, you don't have to agree with the plan of action, but I'm just telling you, we're committed to it. So, would you agree with that?
I would definitely agree.
All right. So, markets have bounced all over the place. We've moved some portfolios. We've increased some cash positions in portfolios so that when it all settles down, there's a 90-day pause. So, we're not probably going to do anything anytime soon because we want to get through it. We're committed to this course of action. I believe it's going to be really good long term. The job report came out well. Inflation came out well. I think Trump is 100% correct that the Fed should lower the interest rates, which would really help offset and give Trump more power on the trade front. These countries are capitulating because we're the number one buyer on the planet, and you cannot beat us. We are absolutely unbeatable.
Yep.
And it's about time we start acting like it. And it's a beautiful thing to watch. And I think I just think you're gonna see amazing shit come from this.
Amen.
Once it all settles.
Amen.
Preach, brother.
Preach.
Preach it. All right. This is Elliot.
Nathaniel.
Signing off.